Hello, welcome to the Wedding Reporter podcast. Today we have Julie Sabatino with us, and I'm so excited. We're going to talk about what exactly is a bridal fashion stylist. And Julie is the original and most sought after bridal stylist in the world. Julie Sabatino is the founder of The Stylish and author of Dressed, Styled, and Down the Aisle Becoming a Stylish Bride. Julie began her career as a bridal stylist 2 decades ago after recognizing from her own wedding journey that there had to be a better way. Today, there isn't a top designer that she doesn't have an ironclad relationship with. Oscar de la Renta even named a dress after her, but she hasn't forgotten what it felt like to be a bride to be with no idea of how to navigate the shopping process. And her recent book talks all about that and how to do it just right for you, no matter your shape, size, or personal style. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Oscar de la Renta named a dress after you. We can get into that later,
Okay.
but I am just so excited to chat with you all about this topic because I feel like it's a topic that maybe some people might not know about. And so
Yeah.
I think just educating them on who you are and what you do and
Yeah.
how this adds to the wedding planning process, I think could be really cool. So let's just go ahead and start from the top, from the very
Right.
beginning. Like, how did you get started?
Yeah, sure. So, I worked in finance. I worked on Wall Street when I got
Whoa.
married, and I had a really, really awful time finding my own wedding dress.
Wow.
Um, it was a totally different market because I was married in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, people didn't even have great websites. There was no social media whatsoever. You couldn't even bring a camera with you when you were shopping. Like the stores wouldn't allow you to take pictures.
Wow.
So it was really a very different environment than it is today. And, but nonetheless, I think I had thought it was going to be like, kind of like what you see in the movies, like this amazing experience. And you go in and you drink champagne and you find a dress you love and you're like, yes, and this is awesome. And it just wasn't for me. And there are a couple of reasons for that, especially as I reflect back. But one of them was because I wasn't a traditional sample size. I was about, I don't know, a size 8 or a 10. And that meant the dresses didn't zip up on me. And it was a really hard experience for me to go to my first appointment at Vera Wang. I was so excited. And then I
Oh,
had to
wow.
go out of the dressing room with the back of the dress wide open. And I was so embarrassed about it. So it wasn't Vera Wang's fault. They couldn't have been nicer, but it's just that I wasn't prepared at all for what I was going to face. And then I also couldn't get the information that I needed in order to figure out who had what I was looking for. And then on top of that, I was young and hadn't had a lot of friends getting married, so I didn't have a good resource for information. So, you know, lo and behold, I'm so glad it all happened because it led me to having the idea to start the Stylish Bride. And really, what I wanted to do was try to save women from having the experience that I had. And fast forward, I found all of the stuff. I found a dress that I love. Thank God, I still love it. And,
Hmm.
the rest was also a problem. I did custom bridesmaids dresses. We did something custom for my mom. It took me forever to figure out like what color tie should my fiance wear? All of this stuff. It was important to me, but there was literally no guidance out there. So when I looked for someone like me today, there wasn't anyone. And I went to fashion school. So I left Wall Street, knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial, went to fashion school, and then went to work for a bridal designer. And what I realized was that I didn't have a unique experience necessarily. Like people needed non biased help, they needed guidance, and they needed somebody to really listen to them and understand them, and get to know them. And then guide them in the right direction. And so that's really the foundation for the Stylish Bride. I started it in 2004. People literally thought I was a hairstylist. They had no idea what a stylist was. And today it has grown and evolved and changed. And it's become something that brides are much more aware of than they used to be.
Hmm. Wow. And so you kind of started this whole business from a really big pain point of your own experience
Yeah.
in, having the not the best experience shopping for your own wedding dress. And yeah, back in 2001, I don't think that what you're doing now was really around at all. And like a lot of women were probably feeling that, but just did it thought that that's just the status quo. Like that's how it is when you shop for a wedding dress. But like nobody was probably willing to do something about it until you came along and you were like, hey, here's my stylist company. And like I can really help you in this. And so that's amazing. And
Thank
thank
you.
goodness you did that. And I'm sure you've been able to just see over the years, like, how it has progressed in a positive way. And, like, yes, things like that still do happen at wedding dress shops, but like it's getting better and the education is out there more. And like, even in just the regular fashion industry, I believe too, is like, really catering more towards women of all body sizes and shapes. And I think that's such an amazing thing. And so that's really cool that, like, from that pain point, this came about and you've been able to help so many other people through that. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been an honor, truly.
That's awesome. So, okay, that's how you got started. Can you explain what exactly is a bridal fashion stylist and like who might need this service?
Sure. So, really, it's very much as it sounds in terms of a bridal stylist will deal with all of the fashion elements of the wedding. And, I can speak to just how we've structured our company. Um, and that means everything from obviously finding the wedding dress, which is the most important piece and the foundation of all of the other fashion. But then, the weddings we work on tend to have multiple events in a weekend. So all of those outfits for the bride and the mom, sisters, um, we get involved with bridesmaids dresses, groomsmen outfits, all of the fittings, all of the accessories, undergarments. So really anything that has to do with the fashion piece. And I look at it as really for us, the foundation of our work is to understand who a woman is and what makes her feel amazing on the inside. And that will let her truly look and feel beautiful on her wedding day. We want her to
Hmm.
feel comfortable, confident, and like excited to be there and be in what she's wearing. And that experience is everything. So
Hmm.
that we really spend a lot of time up front getting to know our clients and understanding them. And truly, no two women are alike. And honestly, after 20 years, that's what I really still love and keeps it interesting for me is the understanding the woman or men.
Hmm.
We work with men actually as well,
Yeah.
of course. So it's understanding the person and what they want. And it has evolved over the years. Originally, when I started it, I was a busy Wall Street person. It's like, okay, this is going to be for people who have no time. And it's going to
Hmm.
be, the doctors, the lawyers, the bankers, all
Right.
of these like professionals that travel and are too busy to deal with this. And it actually turned out, I get that sometimes, but what it
Hmm.
really turned out to be was people that really cared about the fashion and wanted to make sure they had a great experience and access to things they might not otherwise have. Because one of the benefits of working with us is that we have really long-standing relationships with the top designers, the top stores. We know how to get what you need when you need it and
Hmm.
cut through all of that noise that I had so much trouble with. And now there's even more because, you look on Instagram and you're just bombarded with images of what everything is, what everyone wore that you've ever known or not even known. So,
Hmm.
we try to help guide our brides through all of that.
Definitely. So, as far as working with your clients, do you work with a lot of them mainly in person or do you do virtual sessions with
Yeah.
people?
So we do both. And
Okay.
I would say the primary part of our business is still the in person shopping, but we
Okay.
do a lot of virtual as well. And it's kind of funny because I don't know what really prompted me to do this, except in 2019, I launched the virtual service. And part of
Wow.
it was just that I had been doing this for so long that I really kind of knew what people needed before they needed it. And I just had this feeling, knowing the collection so well, it was kind of easy for me to be like, okay, I think, you should see these 5 designers these dresses within the collection. And I had a really high success rate of picking out the dress before she even went into a store.
Wow,
And
that's
so I thought
incredible.
it was kind of incredible. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I offer this as a service to make it more accessible? Because obviously the in person service is expensive.
Mhm.
And let's see, what happens. So then, of course, the pandemic happened, and it was
Right.
great to have an online service.
Oh, yeah.
No one was really getting married at that time. So that was a problem, but it was really interesting. And the world went so much more in a virtual direction. And I think today, um, our in-person styling clients, we will do some pieces of the project virtually because most of them travel into New York from elsewhere. Or
Mhm.
sometimes the bride themselves will live in New York and then the families are traveling in. But there's almost always a travel component to our clients. So we can get pretty far in certain areas doing it virtually. So it's a
Mhm.
combination. But today we still do offer the virtual styling exclusively. And you can buy a 3-hour package and we focus on whatever elements you need. It doesn't have to start with a wedding dress, which is so great. Like people come to us
Mhm.
all the time and are like, I have my dress, but I have no idea how to accessorize it. And I need a rehearsal dinner outfit, or I need an after party outfit and I can't find one. And I've looked at like these 25 things. So we're really able to
Mhm.
kind of step in and provide them resources where they are, like meet them where they are.
That's really cool. So really your job is like every season that new dress designers come out with their lines, like you are studying those and like knowing which dresses are which and just really having this like comprehensive guide as for when somebody does come to you, you're like, okay, that dress from that collection could be an option, this dress from this collection could be an option, like, and then let's present these to the client. Is that pretty much like how your process works?
Yes, but I like to do it in person. So for the wedding
Yeah.
dress, it's really important. We don't do virtual styling for wedding dresses.
Gotcha.
We will
Okay.
help them once they've already tried them on. But the reason I don't do that is because so much changes in the store. So
Mhm.
I have done it in the past, and it was successful. But I just think that it's a really important piece for us to um, have the bride and work with her in the store because I mean, I'm sure it won't come as a surprise, but very often what they go in thinking they want isn't at all what they end up getting. So,
Totally.
and I would say it's about 50-50. Like 50% of the
Mhm.
time we get a bride who's like, I love, tulle sleeves, floral embroidery, and we try a couple of other things on to really make sure, and she ends up loving it. But I mean, at least half the time they're like, wow, I never thought I would like lace. And here
Mhm.
we go. So it progresses as we go through. And having the resources of being in a store where, a lot of times I'll pull in something and be like, I know this isn't what you're looking for, but based on these other things, I think you should just try it on. And,
Mhm.
so we have the ability to do that and to really um, grow, like the appointments grow with the bride and her understanding of herself.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and I think like I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the way that you kind of work with the bride, the couple, is like almost like the fashion mood board of their whole wedding. Whereas, like, yes, you kind of have a mood board as far as like the decor and design of your wedding that like your planner puts together for you. But like, you come in and where you step in is like making sure everything is cohesive with this side of things, the decor, but then also making sure that like bride, groom, groomsmen, bridesmaids, like, even the aesthetic of like wherever you have your rehearsal dinner or bachelorette party, whatever it might be, like all of that is cohesive too. And so I think, and that's a big job to kind of just like put all of that together. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is a really cool thing that you're offering.
Thank you. And we actually put our own inspiration decks together for them. We call them the master styling decks. So it's a record of
Oh,
everything
cool.
they've purchased. And we work
Nice.
with the planners to get the details of what they're envisioning and what they've talked about with the bride. And we incorporate that into the decks for them. So, and then of course
Hmm.
we share the deck of the fashion with the planner, designer, and photographer in advance. So everyone has all of the things they need. And what's great about it is after the wedding, when they go to Instagram everything, they know if they want to tag
Mhm.
the dress, they know what it is. And so we really, an important piece of how we work as a company is process and making sure that everything is accounted for, because you're right, there are so many decisions you need to make and tiny things that you're like, oh my god, I didn't even
Mhm.
think about the bridesmaid earrings, what are we going to do for
Right,
this,
yeah, all the
so
accessories.
it's a lot of stuff, it's a lot of moving pieces with a lot of different people.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love what you just said about like making sure like all of the designers are tagged and everything on Instagram because I run Nashville Bride Guide, so I run a wedding
Hmm.
publication and like that is something that is sometimes forgotten like in the credits of
Yeah.
like a lot of times it's like okay, you got your dress at this shop but like I get a lot of questions even from brides asking me like where did she get her dress from, like what designer is her dress from and like what collection and everything. And so I think that is really important to make sure you add that in from a publisher perspective too, so
Absolutely. It's
yeah.
really important. You want everyone to get credit for it and
Hmm.
to help other brides, especially. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
for sure, that's awesome. um So that's really cool. And I know you said that like you thought that your clientele would be a lot of like doctors and lawyers and people like who just don't have time to really like find, their dress and things like that. But do you find that a lot of the brides that come to you, they are like confused on style and just kind of like are leaving it up to you to put it all together? Or do you find that like a lot of them have like very strong opinions on what they want and are pretty particular?
Both, really.
Yeah.
You know, I, I don't operate in a way of telling them what to wear. It's one of these
Right.
things that I learned really early on in my career that I'm not wearing the dress. And so
Mm-hmm.
maybe a, a different way to look at that, I think what you're trying to say is that people that have a really difficult time deciding what it is that they want to wear.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that is a whole skill unto itself, because I'm like that
Mm-hmm.
actually. And I
Yeah.
agonize over every single thing in my whole life, and it's painful. And actually, in our book, I have a whole section on how you make decisions,
Wow.
because it's really an important part of the process. It's important in life, but it's
Right.
really important when you are making these big wedding decisions to
Mm-hmm.
know how you process the information. And there's two different types. One is a maximizer and one is a satisficer. And
Mm-hmm.
the very brief description is a maximizer is someone like me that literally has to see every option out there.
Yeah, I'm
And
the same.
it's painful, right? Like,
I
and then
know.
you can't make a
Yes.
decision and you hem and you haw and you this and that. And
Yeah.
then the satisficers are people that are like, okay, I'm going to see like 5 great options and pick from those. And I'm going to love it. And it's going to be great. And they don't look back.
Mhm.
So knowing where you are on that spectrum is actually really important, because if you don't, you could
Yeah.
end up in a situation where you buy a dress that you're not ready to buy and you don't love, or you listen to everyone's opinions and get kind of convinced and then end up thinking, God, I don't really love this. What am I going to do?
Mhm.
It's an important piece of it. So the psychology
Yeah.
of how people process information, how they like to shop, what their stamina is like, how they interpret information, can they envision things, all of these pieces of it. It's actually why I wrote the book, because nobody talks about that stuff. And I probably because nobody really knows it's out there. And just after working with so many brides over 20 years, I can tell you that these things are issues, but you know, people don't have that. It's a very unique perspective.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned your book, so let's totally dive into that. It's called
Yeah.
Dress, Styled, and Down the Aisle: Becoming a Stylish Bride. And so you kind of mentioned there's like this sort of like the psychological aspect of, do you shop this way or this way sort of thing? And is that included in the book?
Yeah.
And is it like a coffee table book or like I guess explain
Yeah, I'll
more
show you
more about
actually.
it. Yeah.
Hold
Oh,
on, I'll hold
okay.
it up.
Yay.
I have it on my desk. It's like this.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Um, and so, yeah, it's funny because I didn't actually plan on it being a coffee table book, but a lot of people have said that they've put it there, which is nice.
Awesome.
Um, But I really wanted it to be actionable advice. So I wanted you to get things from this book that you're not going to find in a magazine or a blog, just because they tend to have to be more high level to appeal to a wider audience.
Mhm.
And they don't have the room to kind of go into depth. So
Totally.
while so part of it is a how-to guide, really start to finish, how to create what we call a wedding fashion story. And that's the arc of fashion for your whole weekend and what that looks like and how to put it together. And then there are exercises, and we have a lot of downloads that accompany the book through QR codes at the end of every chapter. And
Cool.
each chapter has worksheets that you can do. So,
Wow.
like the first one is, and one of the most important foundation pieces that you have to do is putting together your timeline.
Mhm.
And what was interesting about it is this is something that in our company we're very methodical about. Like we know that you need to be looking for your bridesmaids dresses at this point, and
Yeah.
we prompt it for our brides.
That's great.
But there isn't any information out there on this. And aside from when to buy your wedding dress, there isn't one fashion timeline out there on the internet. I was like, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was really like a moment, and I'm like, I have to share this with people because people have no idea what they need to be doing and when.
Mhm.
So that is a download that you can go in and fill in, and exactly when you need to do things. And it's all based on how long you're engaged, right? So some people, if they're engaged
Right.
6 months, it's a totally different thing,
Mhm.
but the steps are the same. It's just a more condensed time. So
Right.
and we list everything that you're going to need so you can really take this holistic look at it. um, and then there are things like, you know, describing the different fabrics and shapes so that you have more of a resource guide for it. And I go a lot into sizing and body type. And for me, the message is that you need to pick something that you want to accentuate. What do you love about yourself? And I've learned over the years that the body type thing is tough, right? So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm pear shaped. I'm heavier on the bottom, smaller on the top, and kind of hate the fruit analogy, but it is what it is. And I wasn't able to find something better to think it up. But
Right.
with that and what you read out there, it says, oh, okay, well, you need to wear an A line because, you're
Mhm.
heavier on the bottom. But the intrinsic problem with that is it assumes that I want to hide my hips.
Yep.
What if
Mhm.
I like my hips? Which I don't. But I have worked with brides that, if you think about having a large bust, some people love their large bust and some people don't.
Yeah.
So, what I really want to communicate is that it isn't the same. Like, there isn't, just because you're an
Mhm.
apple doesn't mean you want to hide something. So, I try to break it down and give brides a perspective on how to look at things to keep it grounded in reality and not, scrolling through social media and being like, oh my God, I'm never going to look like that. But
Mhm.
also, okay, when you go into a store, first of all, here's how to pick the stores that are going to have things that are suited for you. And here's how to pick designers that work with your personal style. And then what do you do when you're in there? Here's what to expect. And here's how to work with the consultant. And here's how to, uh, make a decision and what you should look out for in your contracts to make sure that that's set.
Wow.
So it's
Mhm.
really like um, it's a lot of different stuff, and I think it can be used as a reference guide where you are literally at the stage of like, oh, okay, now it's time to look for bridesmaids dresses, and you go to the bridesmaids section, or you can,
Mhm.
of course, just read it. But I wanted it to be very actionable and helpful.
Yeah. Wow. This sounds like such an amazing resource. Like everything is so hands-on and it's like it's helping somebody actually like work through their thoughts and their what their wants are and things like that. And it's just like really getting down to it to for them to know that the decisions they're making are the right ones for their wedding and that that's something that they're going to love for the rest of their lives looking back at their photos and just like every everyone who's gotten married remembers their like wedding dress shopping
Yeah.
experience and like that's all part of the wedding too and so I think that's really cool that you've just really dug down deep and offering this amazing resource for brides who are in the thick of it and really are wanting to fill out those questionnaires and things to really dive deep to know that they're on the right track, really, because they've
Yeah,
never probably done this before for the most
exactly.
part.
And it's
And
hard.
so you're there to guide because you are the expert and have helped so many brides through this process already. So it's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Thank you. I'm so
Yeah.
excited about it. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's so cool. So before I let you go, I have another question. You have made some amazing designer connections throughout the years. I would just love to know the story behind this like dress from Oscar de la Renta
Yeah.
that was named after you. Like, how cool is that?
So basically, I had a client come to me for, I think it was, this is several years ago now, rehearsal dinner dress and after party. Anyway, she was getting married in like a month. And in the process of working together with her on those outfits, it came out that she didn't like her wedding dress. It's like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
So I've had this happen to me. It happens every year, a
yeah.
couple times where people are like, I'm getting married like in a couple of weeks, but I hate my dress. What do I do?
Wow.
And with this bride in particular, she had purchased the wedding dress and the matching veil, which was
Okay.
lucky because the dress itself, the original, had this solid, ruched bodice, basically like I think it was taffeta. Um, and then the skirt was tulle and embroidered with these
Mm-hmm.
buttons. And what she really wanted was a v-neck with the
Oh,
embroidery the same. So I took her to my favorite seamstress and we literally chopped off the top of the dress,
oh my
used the veil
gosh.
fabric to make a tulle v-neck top that she wanted. And she
Wow.
ended up loving it.
Oh,
And
good.
fast forward, the store, because I'm very friendly with them and work with them all the time, the main consultant at the store showed the designers and they ended up putting it in their collection because they liked it so much.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was really, really cool.
gosh. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like your side hustles, like, just
I know,
designing wedding
you
dresses
know.
too, but like happenstance, like.
I know, it's true. But yeah, it was an honor because so much of what we do is in the background and that's how it should be,
Oh,
that
yeah.
it was a very cool moment for me.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh, how cool. So now the Julie dress just goes down in history as one of Oscar de la Renta's
I
dresses. How
know.
awesome. I
So
love
cool.
that. Okay, so last thing, tell us
Yeah,
like where we can find your book and
absolutely.
is it released already? Like give us all the
Yes,
details
yes.
on that.
It's released.
Okay, yay.
You can buy it on Amazon
Awesome.
and barnesandnoble.com. And yeah, it's called Dress Styled and Down the Aisle. And then once you do that, make sure you scan the QR code and get access to the website because there's tons and tons of resources there that are really helpful.
Mhm.
And that's it.
Yay. That
And
is so
oh, and on
cool.
Instagram, I'm
Yeah.
the Stylish Bride.
Yeah, the stylish bride. Okay,
Yep.
go give her a follow. She's knows all the things about styling for your wedding day. This was so cool, Julie. Thank you so much for coming on and just giving us all the scoop on styling for your wedding. This is
Thank
awesome. So
you. Thank
thank
you
you.
so much for having me. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
of course. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wedding Reporter podcast. I hope you learned a little bit and had fun today. To find more resources and podcast episodes, visit NashvilleBrideGuide.com for more information. And as always, click the subscribe button and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Alyssa DeChico, signing off.